Okay, so here's a video about the practice quiz 6.1 through 6.4. I will be working through this. I don't know how excuse me, how well this is going to go with my coughing and sneezing, so just please bear with me. Out of the first question, we're going to do plus, minus, timesing, and dividing. Remember, with dividing, you have to solve for the denominator equal to 0, and then say f of x or g of x cannot equal this value, mainly x can equal this value. So start with plussing. So taking these and adding these together, x squared plus x, so x squared, 7x plus x is 8x, 12 plus 2 is 14. I am shorthanding this. I would like you to see your work of you writing it out. You have to write it out for multiplication. You also should write it out for subtraction in case you mess up. So x squared plus 7x plus 12 minus parentheses x plus 2, so you distribute the negative to both parts. So you're going to get x squared, 7x minus x, 6x, 12 minus 2 plus 10. Multiplication, you have to multiply it, so you would have x squared plus 7x plus 12 times x plus 2. So x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times 2 is 14x. 12 times x is 12x. 12 times 2 is 24. Parts that combined, x cubed, 7x squared plus 2x squared is 9x squared. 14x plus 12x is 26x. And then just plus 24. Sorry, my nose is running really bad. F divided by g of x equals x squared plus 7x plus 12 divided x plus 2. Denominator, x, if I solve this, would be negative 2, so x cannot equal negative 2. Technically, I will allow you to leave this here. However, you could simplify as x plus 2 and x plus... No, you can't simplify it. What am I talking about? The factors of 12 that add up to be 7 are in 4. No, it's 4 and 3, so you can't do it. So never mind. It's kind of late. So this set equal to this whole thing is your answer for division. Moving over, adding, so f plus g of x is 2x plus 1 plus x minus 3. So 2x plus x is equal to 3x. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Subtraction, f minus g. Let me move the camera here just a little bit. Of x equals 2x plus 1 minus x minus 3, so make sure you distribute. So 2x minus x is x. 1 minus a minus 3 is really 1 plus 3, so plus 4. Excuse me. F times g of x equals 2x plus 1 times x minus 3. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. 1 times x is x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. So this equals out to be 2x to the squared minus 5x minus 3. Last but not least, division. Divided by g of x. 2x plus 1 divided by x minus 3. X cannot equal a value, and it's whatever the denominator is equal to 0. So if I solve this to be 0, x minus 3, add the 3 over, so off to the side, x minus 3 equals 0. X equals 3, so this magically becomes 3. This whole thing, once again, is your answer for division. You have to do all of that for your quiz. This part here, don't do it, skip it. We cut it out, and I didn't remember to practice or cut it off from the practice quiz, so I apologize for that. Number 3. So, let me move my camera here. I know it's going to get you kind of motion sickness, but I apologize for that. But when I write, I don't want you to have it like right in your face. So compositions, remember, G composite H, so I will do color coding here. So G composite H of X, it's going to equal something, and then H composite G of X, it's going to equal something. So blue is going to be on the top, pink is going to be on the bottom. Oh, that's going to be a long one over there. So H goes into G, so wherever there's an X, so 3 doesn't change, so this would be X minus 4. 3 times X is 3X. 3 times negative 4 is minus 12. There, done. Excuse me. H composite G. So G is going to go into H. So the parts that stay in H is I'm going to plug into something. Try that again. Wrong pen. So H, that part doesn't change. This part is going to be 3x. So 3x minus 4 is just 3x minus 4. Okay? For here, I'm going to start with G composite H of X. Over here, so H is going to go wherever there's an X and G. So negative 2 times something really big. Sorry, my nose is running really bad. X squared plus 3x plus 2. So distribute that through. So negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. That's it. I'm done. So this next one, I'm going to put it up here. H composite G of X equals. So in H, things that do not change. Squared plus 3 times something plus 2. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to put negative 2x. So here, I'm going to get a plus 2. 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6x. Negative 2 squared is 4. X squared is x squared. You gotta take negative 2x times negative 2x, and then that's my final answer for H composite G. Make sure you plug the second letter into the first one. So on the next one, values, you can literally just do numerical values and you don't have to find the composition. So H is going to be blue, G is going to be pink, F is going to be purple. So negative 2 is going to go into H. So H of negative 2 is going to be negative 2 plus 4. That equals out to be 2. So now this value is going to go into G. So it's going to be G of 2 equals 5 times 2, which equals 10. I will not make you do the composition of G of H in order to plug in 2. If you were to do that, okay, if you were to do that, plug H into G, you would have 5 times x plus 4, which would give you 5x plus 4 plus 20. Try again, Pomeroy. Plus 20. Because 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 4 is 20. And if you plug negative 2 into this, 5 times negative 2 plus 20, you would still get the same answer. But I'm not going to make you do the composition just to find the numerical value. It is quicker to find an answer point and keep moving your point as you keep going through. So you may do it this way here and just get the answer of 10. This is your final answer. So this equals 10. You can do it the purple way with this and this here and still get the same answer, but I'm not going to make you do that because I'm not going to do that. So f of 4 4 squared, which equals 16, and then I'm going to go into h. So h of 16 equals 16 plus 4, which equals 20, so this answer equals 20. That's all I'm asking you to do. So that's the first part. Second part, find the inverse of a relation. Inverse of a relation means you take the points and you switch x and y. Switch x and y. So your answer, in case I screw up, negative 2 comma negative 10, 6 comma negative 7, negative 2 comma negative 4, 0, negative 4. So I found the inverse. Since this x and this x go to two different y, or to go to the same y value, that's fine. Technically, this was not a function, quote unquote, at the beginning because this x and this x have the same x value, so negative 4 equals negative 2 and 0. The x repeats, not a function. Your inverse doesn't repeat, so technically the inverse is a function. Alright, number 6. On here it says to graph your inverse. I'm going to tell you this. You have to be able to find your inverse. So once again, to find an inverse, you must switch x and y. However, due to it asking you to graph, I'm going to graph here. Excuse me. Inverse. When I get done, I'll graph it in blue. So, first thing, y equals negative 2x plus 2. Switch x and y, so x equals negative 2, y plus 2. Subtract 2 over. Then I would divide both sides by a negative 2. So, I'm going to have, excuse me, x divided by negative 2 minus 2 divided by negative 2. So my answer would be equals y. So this would be negative 1/2 x plus 1. Because negative 2 divided by negative 2 is plus 1. So plus 1, slope of a half. That's negative, so down 1 over 2. That's not perfect, but we're going to go with it. And then going plus 2. Plus 2, and my slope is negative 2 over 1, so over 2, negative 1, down to 1. Sorry, I thought I was going to have to sneeze again, and you guys are going to laugh at my video again, and I understand that, and that's totally cool. So there's the graphing. Alright. So I'm going to graph this one first. -1. Up 2 over 1, 2 over 1. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying really hard to make sure you guys can see everything, yet at the same time not. Wow, that's really badly graphed. It's alright. We're going to just go with it. It's done. Alright, so switch. Remember to put that -1 in when you write your inverse. So y equals 2x minus 1. Switch your letters. This is why I'm using a pencil today. 2y minus 1. X plus 1 equals 2y. X divided by 2 plus 1 divided by 2 equals y. So my answer is f -1 of x equals 1/2 x plus 1/2. So 1/2, whoops, is roughly here. Go up 1 over 2. Now it doesn't look like it's going to mirror correctly because my first line is very wobbly. So, there you go. Alright, so graph each function and state the domain and range. So, on this first question, labeling. A. Wow. I don't really have a good way to do this one. So A equals 1, B equals 5, H equals 0, K equals 0. How do I know that? So, rule of thumb, I only know this form because it's just one of those things I was taught when I was in school. But if there's no B, then I know not to do anything with it. It's 1. So A is 1. That means my rule of right 1, down, oops, up 1. Try that again. Right 1, up 1. Right 4, up 2 is not going to change on the ups. But my B makes it where there is going to be a change. With B's, you have to divide by 1/2. If it was a 2, in this case, I have to divide by 5. So, a nice 5 would be moving right 25, because a perfect square. So if I did the rule of right 25, I would go up 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So I can do the 1/5, I can do the 4/5. This one becomes right 5, up 5, which is nicer to print on my graph. That's my rules. I find the best scenario of dividing by 5, and I use that rule. If it was a 3, I would go right 9, up 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. H and K, there's nothing being added to X. There's nothing being outside the radical to the radical, so I know it's K0. So my starting point is 0, 0. So, 0, 0 is right here. Okay. And so if I use my rule of right 1/5, up 1, 1/5 up 1 is right here, roughly. As best I can. Right 4/5 So not exactly at 1, because 4/5 isn't exactly 5/5, which is 1. I'm going to go up 2. And if I go back to my original point and I go right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go up 5, 2, 4, 5, I can see how my curve is going like this. Excuse me. So that's my graph. Graph started at 0, 0, so my domain is x is greater than or equal to 0. My range is y is greater than or equal to 0. You will have to do a graphing with a B on your quiz. On this next one, so a equals -1. There's nothing being times x, so there's no b. I have a -1 in here, so h equals 1. It's opposite of what you see with the under the radical, or with x's, because when you solve this to be 0, it'd be opposite. Nothing is being added on the outside, so k equals 0. So my rule is right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2, because a is -1. I'm going to multiply by -1 on my ups. That means I'm really going to go right 1, down 1, right 4, down 2. -1 just means I flip down. So my start point is going to be at 0 or 1, 0. Let's write that down. And then my rule is right here. So 1, 0. I'm going to go right 1, down 1, right 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2. So my graph goes this way. Should actually be down just a little bit more, because at 5 I should be hitting here. So I'm going to fix that, because that's at 9. But I will not dock you with that. As long as your first point, 2 points, 3 points, excuse me, gets you a nice curve. So, domain, x is greater than or equal to 1, range, y is less than or equal to 0 because I'm going down, so it's going to be less than. Alright, next part. Graphing inequalities. Doing the same thing. Rules and everything else, but then you have shading. So on this first one I have closed circles and closed line. This one I have open. Pay attention to where you shade, all real numbers or not. So on this first one, a is equal to 1, h is equal to 5, k is equal to 4. So because of that, my rules don't change. It's right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2, and my starting point is at 5, 4. So 5, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Closed circle. So I'm going to put a circle here. I'm going to pull out that orange pen of mine for an asymptote line. So this line here, you cannot pass this line when you shade. I don't care if you're shading above or below. That line you need to draw in on your radical, so you know not to go past that into the imaginaries. So if I go past that, I've shaded into imaginary numbers, and those are not real solutions, so I technically cannot see them on a graph. So rule, right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2, solid. Because it's equal to, I cannot test 0, 0 because of the fact that 0, 0 is over here in imaginary land. I need to test a point either below or above. Also, this says I want all y's below the line. So all y's below the line are down here. However, if you don't believe me, I'm going to test 6, 0. So if I plug 6 in, 6 minus 5 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. answer of 5 is greater than the 0 that I picked for this, so all of this down here is shaded. And you don't have to be right up on the line, but make sure you have your shading down and that's there. Now, you will be asked what is your domain and range. So, domain. I do have a value on 5, so my domain is x is greater than or equal to 5. However, my range, my y values, as this graph grows up, I'm going to keep shading down below, but this graph is going to keep going. My range is not based on my point, it is all real numbers. Because I'm below the quadratic, or excuse me, the square root, the rational square root function, because we're only going to graph square roots. We're not going to graph cube roots. I apologize for that. Those look really weird anyways. But because my graph is going to keep going up, and I'm going to keep shading down, I'm going to cover all the values less than 4, but I'm also going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, so I have to count for that. That's why it's all real numbers. Alright, last but not least. A is equal to -2. B is equal to 3. H is equal to 2. And K is equal to 0. So, right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2, and because B is 3, I'm going to go right 9, up 3, because 9 is divisible by 3. So what I'm going to do, I should not have used orange, but that's okay. We're going to use orange, and we're going to use red. So this is going to be times -2 on each of my ups. Okay. And I'm going to divide by 3 on my rights, because B, you divide. So my new rules are right 1/3, down 2, right 4/3, down 4, right 3, down 6. My start point, H is -2 because I screwed up to switch my sign. Glad I got that now before I started graphing. However, when I do that -2, it's -2 divided by 3, comma 0. Because when you have a B value, oh please tell me I did that back there. Well, 0 divided by B wouldn't matter. I forgot to say that, but 0 divided by 5 is still 0, so I totally forgot. So here, you gotta remember on your point, your start point, it's H divided by B, comma K. I apologize once again. In my head, I just knew it was at 0, 0 because I ran it on my calculator, but I apologize for that. So -2 divided by 3, 0. So -2/3. I'm gonna graph in. Let's go dark blue. So I'm gonna graph in dark blue. No, I'm gonna graph in light blue. So -2/3, so -2/3, 0. And this circle is open. And then that line right there, my y0 line, x equals 0. I'm going to do with a dark blue. So I can't shade past this line. That is really hard to see with color. You guys can see it with the video. My angle, it's not the best. That's a dashed line, can't go past it. So, so I'm going to go right 1/3, down 2. So right 1/3, down 2. So 1, 2. I'm going to go right 4/3, down 4. So 4/3, so 3/3 is 1, 4/3 is another, down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. None of these are nice. Then I'm going to go right 3, down 6. So right 3, 1, 2, 3, down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a dashed line. So you got to make sure that you don't go crazy over here with your shading. Now it says I want all the y's bigger. I got to be careful. So I am going to plug in a point to double check. So a number that I could plug in here to get a nice number is 3 times something to get 9. So I can't get any nice number. Oh my gosh, my nose is running like no other. So I'm going to guess this point here, and I'm going to do 2, 0. So I'm going to double check this math because I really don't like playing by the rules. So y is greater than equal to, so if I pick 2, 0, I'm going to plug in 0 is greater than equal to negative 2 times the square root of 3 times 2, testing the red point, plus 2. So is 0 greater than or equal to negative 2 times the square root of 8? This is going to be a negative answer, so that's true. So it's going to be everything above. So with that, domain and range again. So I'm going to pick my dark blue up here. So my domain is x's are greater than... Oh my god, I did that wrong. Pomeroy, negative 2/3 is not y. I switched those points. So I'm still shading above, but I'm going to have to redo these lines and redo those points. So, I'm so glad I caught this now. That's okay. Still going to test that point. I'm just going to fix my graph. So negative 2/3 is over here. 0. So I'm going to change some of this graph because that changes some of my points. Not my test point though. Wonderful time. 30 minutes into this video, I'm still not awake. Alright, moving over a third. Dang it. Moving over a third. Down 2. 1, 2. Moving over 4/3, so 2/3. 2/3, down 4. 2, 4. Over 3. 1, 2, 3, and down 6. So 2, 4, 6. Not too bad. So glad I caught that now though. Alright, dash line. Roughly 2/3. It's a really bad dash line now. So much easier when it's like on a straight line. So shading. Oh, I just shaded on my dot. That's okay. I didn't cross it. Oh, I almost crossed there. Oh, Pomeroy. It was so much prettier the first time. There we go. Much better. Alright. Pretty graph. Alright, simplifying. This is 6, 4. Alright. So 6, 4, you gotta do it in 2 different ways. Essentially, here's what you need to look at. You're looking at the number root, so whatever your index number is, and seeing how many times that goes into each part. So you have the 5th root of negative 1024, the 5th root of x to the 10th, and the 5th root of 243. Literally 99% of the time I do part of this on my calculator. So, on my calculator, there's a button if you hit math that you can see, and I'm sorry the light is refracting on here, but at 5, oh, it's too bright. At 5 here, you can see the x root. So if I type in 5 x root, that will give me the 5th root. So if I start with 5 x root, so math, then choose the option 5 or the thing that has the x times the square root. And I type in 10 negative 1024. Oh, come on, calculator. 1024. It shows me -4. Now, I don't know if my mode's in classic, so I don't have parentheses, and I just do one of these at a time if I use my calculator. I honestly don't do that. I do -1024 to the 1/5. We have not taught you that yet, but I kind of brought that up before. But that's what I do. Or what you can do is you can break the numbers and find groups of 5. But if it works out perfect on my calculator, I do not do that. So once again, you go 5, math, root, which is the 5 or the x times the root. And then I type in 243 and I get cubed. So this top number here is -4 over 3. Now I'm looking at this. I need to look at myself and say, hey, 5 divides into 10 how many times? So this is where you take the exponent divided by the index number, which is how I get these other things with fractions, because this index number is 5, this exponent is 1, so I'm just raising it to the 1/5. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. So this is x squared. That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do. So here, the square root of 49, the square root of m squared, and the square root of t to the 8th. When there is no index number, the number that is written there is a 2. So the square root of 49 is 7. Taking 2 divided by 2 gives me m. 8 divided by 2, because the index number is 2, is t to the 4th. You don't have to worry about any absolute value bars or anything else like that. I know in the video that was on the website said things like that. They are true and they are very important. However, we have decided not to decrease points on forgetting them or remembering them when you do it. So you can choose to not use them. I will tell you this, when you get into further levels of mathematics, they do reign and are important. So you better pay attention when they come back. Because when you take the square root of a numerical value, you can't have negative, for example, in number 11. So, square root of 16, square root of m squared over the square root of 25. Square root of 16 is 4 over 5, and this is going to be divisible by 2, so this is m. So there's your final answer. Alright, numerical value with a cubic. What number times itself 3 times gets you -64? If you don't know, odds are always going to be negative. You can take the third root or odd root, fifth root, seventh root of a negative number. You cannot do that with an even. So that's where the i's come in. I's will only happen in squaring. You will not get a -4th root of something. Because if we do that, we have not brought up... Ooh. I got more screws loose in my calculator. We will not make you do that. So once again, you're going to type in 3, math, go to x times the square root, -64, enter, get -4. So this is the third root of -64, the third root of r cubed, the third root of w to the 15. On my calculator, I just got this to be -4, divide by 3, divide by 3, r, w to the 5th. If they are not even, then you must leave the amount that did not work left underneath the radical. So for example, while I'm talking about this, if you had the third root of w to the 7th, okay, I could divide this by 3, but I get 2 remainder 1, or I have 6 and I have 1 left over. So this would be w squared then the third root of 1w left under. If you have anything left over. So on here, this negative on the outside stays on the outside, so negative square root of 144 square root of m to the 8th square root of n to the 6th divide by 2, divide by 2, negative 12 m to the 4th n cubed. The fifth root of negative 32, the fifth root of x to the 5th, and the fifth root of y to the 10th. So this is just negative 2. Odd, keep your negative. Divide by 5, divide by 5. This is x, y squared. Don't know why I wrote those in. Oh, yes, I do. Here, we'll just erase that one. Negative 2x. Because I keep changing my colors. I'm just not paying attention to what I'm doing. Alright, last but not least, this whole thing. So I'm just going to divide this by 6. So I'm going to get m plus 4 in parentheses. And last but not least, I'm going to divide by 4. So I'm going to get x minus 5 squared. That's your practice quiz.